Hi, welcome back to Maelstrom. Today, we're going to talk about mental health and masculinity, specifically how exercise can change your outlook and be as powerful as drugs like cannabis. Griffin, go through the topics for today.
All right. I want to start by saying that oftentimes people think of mental health and physical health as separate entities. I'd say they're one and the same thing. They are intertwined because our brains are a part of our bodies. What we want to cover today, we have a few things. We're going to start off with the neuroscience of exercise and then talk about this global inactivity crisis that is not only affecting Gen Z men, but essentially everyone all around the world. And then also connections between being sedentary and mental health effects that are negative, such as clinical depression. And then on a broader level, why is this an issue? Why are so many people struggling with these topics today? It's always great to discuss problems, but I really enjoy talking about solutions and actionable steps to help address these issues on an individual and societal basis.
That's a wonderful description. Why did we pick this topic? Part of what we want to do is not only interviews and discuss where Gen Z males are, where boomer guys are, but how we can better adapt and live in the world right now. During the pandemic, I had not done anything, partly because of the pandemic and partly because I was lazy. My weight shot up to over 200 pounds. I had significant back problems and I was depressed because I couldn't move around. I have a very active wife, son, and two active poodles, and I couldn't do anything. I tried a variety of options. I went to doctors, chiropractors, got stronger meds to resolve the pain, but not the cause of the pain. At the point where the pain was so bad that I got another script that gave me another script for Narcan in case I overdosed myself, I knew it was time to make a change. So I stopped all the pain meds. I stopped going to chiropractors. I let my doctor know I chose my own path. I found a personal trainer in Santa Fe, Joseph Garcia. I could barely walk into a gym. Within 5 months, I'd knocked off 10 pounds and was pulling 200-pound sled like the Navy SEAL training program. Today, 5 years later, I weigh 30 pounds less. Although I'm not as active as Griffin, I feel pretty good for somebody that's banged up his body on motorcycles and martial arts over the years. I know how important this is for your mental health, whatever age you are. One of the things we're going to talk about in later episodes is diet and managing your lifestyle. At the end of this episode, we have an important announcement for something we're going to provide tomorrow that you can get free. We think it's got some great content. I'm going to turn this over to Griffin. Griffin lives and breathes exercise and mental health. Take it away, Griffin.
Right? Not sure about expert, just someone who's very passionate and vocal about this stuff. What my dad said is inspiring and super great to hear. And it's a perfect example of what I believe mental health and physical health should not be thought of as separate entities. One point I want to discuss now is, Dad, don't you feel so much better now, 5 years after the pandemic versus when you were struggling?
Yeah, except for my arthritic right knee that uh, hurts most of the time. Sure. The days when I was an active runner and doing martial arts, even though I might feel banged up, mentally I was feeling great. So dig into some specifics, Griff, why it works. And if you're not super physically fit, how do you get started? When do the benefits start?
Right. It's a gradual process and extremely difficult, whether pursuing physical fitness or other pursuits. It's always this process where a lot of people don't have that flow state. It doesn't feel natural. It can feel easy to be discouraged and want to quit. But what's important is making those small changes over time, doing like what's called a cognitive behavioral therapy related approach, where it's not so much about I'm going to be a completely different person tomorrow, but what teeny habits could I change day by day to be 1% better? That applies to school, work, and physical fitness as well. Something that I like to talk about is one of my favorite books ever. It's Spark by John Rady. And he has a lot of fascinating discussion, especially validating what I was saying from a scientific perspective. He delves into aerobic exercise and anaerobic exercise and the individual benefits on the aerobic side, like cardio, running, biking, etc. He discusses how doing so releases in your brain this compound called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
What is that legal?
Yeah.
Is that stuff?
Super complicated. What's that?
Is that legal stuff, or is it you go to the street to buy the?
Well, what's cool is you don't have to go on the street. It comes from your brain just from doing cardio. He refers to it as Miracle-Gro for the brain. We have the stereotype that people who perform well in school and are good at math are sedentary and study all day and don't get outside. This book contradicts the stereotype by talking about being in the sunlight and getting that regular cardio in significantly increases neuron growth in the brain. We're able to learn way faster with regular cardio. That's why it's Miracle-Gro. I've noticed that myself. I've always been active, but fluctuated with cardio. I started weightlifting with my dad during COVID. I used to be an exclusive aerobic athlete, but I got into weightlifting thanks to my dad and his back pain, the personal trainer. I sort of flipped the other extreme where I was too focused on weight training, not doing enough cardio. As much as I enjoy weight training, I felt significantly more brain fog and malaise, which is probably because of less BDNF in my head. So for now, I'm trying to be like this multi-sport hybrid athlete where essentially I'm trying to do a lot of weightlifting and a lot of cardio. So I have as many benefits there as possible. I feel so much more mentally sharp and just an overall higher mood than I did 2 years ago, 3 years ago when I was like exclusively focused on weightlifting. Do you feel the same or do you have a different take?
I think I'm in a brain fog all the time. Griff has been actively exercising for a long time. He was captain of the high school track team, a cross country runner. He's done snowshoe races and all kinds of stuff. So I think Griffin, the way you look at things and what you're capable of is based on years of training. What do you suggest to someone that's hasn't been nearly as focused as you are, where someone can start out and what do they do to stay motivated?
Right. What I'd say is literally and figuratively, small steps. You spend most of your time being sedentary. You don't have a workout routine yet. Start small. Go from completely nothing to walk for 5 minutes outside and get used to that feeling. It's going to feel weird because you're not used to it. Once you build that routine of a 5 minute walk by your house, make it 10 minutes, 2 weeks. After that, make it 15 minutes. And when you're comfortable, try jogging for 5 minutes. So it's all about these little changes with time. It's like progressive overload in the gym. It doesn't make any sense to bicep curl 10 pounds and then go up to 45 pounds. It's all about the gradual overload. You go from 10 pounds to more reps with 10 pounds to fewer reps with 15 pounds, making those small changes over time. Do you feel the same way?
Well, that's great advice if you can be disciplined enough. The big issue is starting. For me, after experiencing compressed nerve in my spine, it took hard work and weightlifting to self-repair. What I figured out over the past few years is that I'm not disciplined nearly as much as Griffin has. I developed a routine, and we can discuss that for the geezers in the group at some point. Basically, every other day, I do a full body workout, and I do it with light weights. Let's say I'm doing curls with 20 pounds, but I'll do 3 sets of 20. Same with back exercises and crunches. I can do it in about 45 minutes. For me, that's kept my weight around. I'm about 6 feet tall and I weigh about 180. I switched to a keto diet. I got sick of trying to manage carbs. Now I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat until 1 o'clock. and try not to eat after 9 p.m. No matter what age you are, there are ways that you can fit this into a schedule. And so, as I said, the toughest thing is getting started. Griff, as we wrap this up, what are some other areas relative to mental health and fitness that you feel we should cover in the upcoming podcasts?
We have a lot to cover. We talked about our own experiences here as individuals, but our experiences, in some ways reflect the broader population, in other ways don't reflect the broader population. There's this interesting WHO article linked in the description below, citing how almost 2 billion adults are severely missing out on mental health brain benefits of consistent physical activity, or what's established in certain guidelines, such as from the CDC, to be considered adequate in order to, feel good and go about your day mentally, physically. So there's that. And it's sad to see each year the higher proportion of the population who are obese or overweight. And you see that anecdotally, but you also see that in statistics as well. There's so much higher rate of sedentary people, and there's so many reasons why that could be the case. Of course, we have these pressures in 2025, or just, in the modern world, that, essentially they don't force us, but they incentivize us to be more sedentary, such as desk jobs where people work, say, 9 to 5 or even longer hours. It's difficult to be able to motivate yourself to do a deliberate workout when you basically have to be in one place sitting down the whole time. So there's that. There's also, as we discussed in the last episode, this set of deliberately designed addictive technologies to keep you on your butt even past these hours. I'm pretty sure, there's some crazy statistic, like for Generation Z, the average screen time is 7 to 8 hours a day. If most people are sedentary, and then most people are addicted to their phones, addicted to their screens, we have all these distractions, all this noise around us that prevents us from being able to discover and build these habits and maintain them to be able to take care of our brains and bodies. It's difficult, but it's all about making small changes to build good habits. To answer your question, as my dad also said earlier in the podcast, we want to discuss more from a scientific perspective about diet, exercise, and other factors that contribute to mental health issues among Gen Z men, or that are generalizable to all age groups as well. We could probably have 30 episodes on that alone. It's not just people being sedentary, it's a multivariate problem. So there's a lot to discuss even in that subset of this issue.
We have so many things to cover. I'll give you updates on the progress of what we've been doing as we've developed this site. We're now on Substack, YouTube Shorts, as well as on TikTok. The other benefit we hope we can provide is a resource guide for the Gen Z male. It's less than 20 pages. It has links for self-help, other information, and covers some of the things Griffin mentioned. Just come to Malestrum.com, register. We'll have it available as a digital download starting tomorrow. We look forward to our next talk with you. Anything,
Right.
Griff?
Sure. I just want to say that this episode was less so tailored for Gen Z men specifically, physical fitness or mental fitness and how they're intertwined. That's less of a gendered issue, I think. But, I just want to conclude by discussing how these issues are not gendered, but certain subsets of the issue are gendered. More men play video games compared to women. Video games are fine, but, if extremes aren't good, and there's this certain proportion of the population that play excessive video games, and that excessiveness is more gendered than other aspects of being sedentary in the US and around the world. So that is more of a Gen Z male issue, and there's a lot of contributing factors to why video games, especially for some men my age, are so popular. It's a rough, complicated world, and video games could be an excellent escape. Video games provide highs and dopamine surges in ways the real world doesn't, because of all the strangeness right now, the atomization and all the, the difficult job market. With a video game, you could level up. It's very clear what the skill curve is. And you have this built-in community, not to mention the intersecting factors with AI as well. More and more guys in general who aren't talking to women to date them, but they're dating their AI girlfriends at this point, which is another related issue, because if there's a guy talking to their AI girlfriends or AI companions all day, they're not getting outside, socializing, and more likely to be sedentary. So these are all intersecting issues.
Thank you, Griff. Some really good advice. We'll be sharing links on some of the books Griff has discussed. Some of the links will also be in our guide for the Gen Z male. We also have a former high school counselor and advisor that will be one of our guests in the upcoming episodes as well. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.